There is an old saying that our mothers and their mothers before them used to whisper when the air grew heavy with things left unsaid. They would look at the great river that fed our lands, the one that gave life sometimes took it, and they would say, "The river does not apologize for flowing." They said this with a knowing in their eyes, a deep understanding that some forces are not meant to be questioned, only guided. It was a recognition of power, of a current that runs through all of us, as natural as the water that carves its path through the earth, seeking its way to the great sea. These old words were a lesson, a piece of wisdom passed down through generations. The river, in its steady and persistent journey, holds no shame. It does not ask for permission to be what it is. It simply flows. And when it flows freely, it nourishes everything it touches. The soil becomes rich. The trees grow tall. The people have what they need to thrive. The sound of its movement is a song of life, a constant reminder that to be alive is to be in motion, to be filled with a force that seeks expression. Our ancestors saw this, and they did not try to stop the river. They knew better. But the proverb holds a warning, a second truth that is just as important as the first. It continues. It only destroys when it is blocked. Imagine placing a great wall of stone and earth in the river's path. The water does not simply stop. Its power does not vanish. Instead, it pushes. It gathers strength, pressing against the barrier with a force that grows and grows until it can no longer be contained. What was once a life-giving flow becomes a destructive flood, breaking its banks, sweeping away homes, leaving devastation in its wake. The destruction is not the river's fault. The destruction comes from the blockage. This is the nature of things. It is a simple truth that the old ones understood in their bones. They knew that powerful forces require not denial but channels. They require respect. When you try to pretend a great force does not exist, when you build walls to hold it back and declare that it should not be, you are not creating peace. You are only building pressure. You are inviting the flood. The wisdom was not to fight the river, but to understand its nature and to make sure its path remained clear, so its great energy could nourish the world, instead of breaking it apart. This is what they taught us. Now, let us speak of one such river. One that flows within every person, in every village, under every sun. It is the river of desire. It is the pull one heart feels for another. It is the longing for connection, the deep-seated need for closeness that has been with our people since the beginning of time. This is not a new thing. It did not arrive with the new roads or the tall buildings. It was here long before. It existed in the quiet glances between a young man and a young woman at the market. It was present in the songs the women sang as they pounded yam songs filled with knowing laughter and gentle teasing. Our ancestors were not children. They were not naive. They did not pretend that this powerful current did not exist within them. They saw it. They named it. They respected it. They knew that attraction, the sweet ache of longing, and the great mystery of creating new life. No society, no matter how old or how traditional, was blind to this. They understood that this desire was a fundamental part of being human, as essential as breathing or eating. It was a fire that warmed the hearth, a force that ensured the continuation of the family, the clan, the community. The structures of our old societies, the rules, the traditions, were not created to deny desire, They were created to manage it, to give it a safe path to flow. They were like the wise riverbanks that guide the water, ensuring it nourishes the land without flooding it. These systems were designed to protect the family, to maintain harmony within the community, and to make sure that this powerful energy brought people together instead of tearing them apart. The goal was never to pretend the river was not there. It was to ensure everyone knew where the banks were. This way of life was built on an assumption of honesty, not an expectation of perfection. No one believed that a person could be without desire. That would be like asking a person to be without a heartbeat. Instead, the systems made space for truth. They created ways for things to be spoken, for negotiations to happen, and for responsibilities to be clear. There was language for these matters. There were elders to consult. The aim was to keep things in the light, because our people knew that what is hidden in darkness often grows twisted and dangerous, like a root that finds a crack in the foundation of a house. The old ones knew the river of desire was powerful. They knew it could not be stopped. So, instead of building a dam, they built riverbanks. These were the structures, the traditions, the rules. They were not built out of fear or a desire to punish. They were built out of wisdom. They were there to guide the flow of this powerful human energy, to make sure that it nourished the community instead of washing it away. The purpose of these rules was not to shame people for feeling desire. It was to protect the family, the children, the harmony of the village from the chaos that unmanaged desire can create. The riverbanks did not say, "You must not feel this." Instead, they said, "If you feel this, here is the path you must follow." The path was one of respect. It involved approaching her family, showing your worth, making your intentions known in the clear light of day. This structure was a gift. It gave the young man a way to channel his powerful feelings into something honorable and constructive, something that could lead to the building of a new family and the strengthening of the entire community. These systems were designed to prevent secrecy. The old ones understood a simple truth. Desire that is forced into hiding becomes a dangerous thing. It is like a stream that is diverted into the darkness under the ground. It can erode the foundations of a house without anyone seeing the damage, until the walls begin to crumble. When desire is unmanaged, when it has no approved path to follow, it will carve its own path. That path often leads through deception and secrecy, causing pain that spreads like a poison through families and relationships, weakening the trust that holds a community together. So, the rules were not about judgment. They were about clarity. They were a map for everyone to see. By creating clear channels for courtship, marriage, responsibility, our ancestors made sure that the powerful energy of desire was kept in the open. It was a community concern, not a private struggle. The riverbanks were there to ensure the water flowed where it could give life, creating strong families and healthy children, rather than becoming a secret flood that could rise in the night and destroy everything in its path. In the world our ancestors built, the goal was to live without secrets, especially in matters of the heart and family. If a man intended to take a wife, it was not a secret affair. It was a public process, a negotiation between two families that involved the whole community. The community's eyes were on the process, and this collective gaze was a powerful force for accountability. The light was a disinfectant for dishonesty. Imagine a problem arising. Perhaps a man's eye has wandered. In the old systems, this was not something to be hidden in shame. It was a problem to be addressed. The wife had a right to speak. There were established ways to confront the issue, to bring it out from the shadows and deal with it. The goal was to restore balance. They knew that a wound left untended in the dark will fester and spread. A secret creates a crack in the foundation of a family. Over time, many secrets create many cracks, and the entire structure becomes weak and unstable. A crucial part of this old understanding was the difference between honesty and perfection. The systems of our ancestors did not expect human beings to be perfect. What they expected, what the system demanded, was honesty. If a man found himself desiring another woman, the system did not require him to pretend the feeling did not exist. Instead, the system gave him a path. It was a difficult path, yes, but it was a clear one. This focus on honesty created a world with less hypocrisy. A man was who he said he was. His life was not divided into a public story for the village and a secret story hidden from view. The modern idea of a man who presents a perfect family to the world while secretly maintaining another life would have been seen as a deep sickness, a profound weakness of character. It was better to be a flawed but honest man than a man who lived a perfect-looking lie. The old systems were not designed for angels. They were designed for real people, with real blood in their veins and real, complicated hearts. The great virtue was not to be without fault, but to have the courage to bring your faults into the light and take responsibility for them. So, what happened? If our ancestors had these wise systems, these strong riverbanks, why did they crumble? It began when new people arrived on our shores. They brought with them new laws and a new way of seeing the world. In their world, the river of desire was not something to be guided. It was something to be conquered, to be dammed up completely. These new people brought with them a new religion, a single, perfect God who lived far away in the sky, not in the rivers and trees around us. This God had strict rules about the body. Desire, they taught, was not a life-giving fire to be managed with respect. It was a dangerous temptation, a sign of a person's weakness and sinfulness. The body itself, with its longings and its heat, was something to be suspicious of, something to be controlled and disciplined. They built schools, churches. They told us our old ways were backward, that our traditions were pagan, that our understanding of the world was wrong. To be modern, to be saved, to be good, you had to leave the ways of your ancestors behind. You had to adopt these new moral ideals. And so, slowly, the riverbanks began to erode. The old structures that were built on honesty about human nature were now seen as sinful. The man with 2 wives was no longer a responsible head of a large family. He was an adulterer. This new way did not offer a path for the complexities of the human heart. It offered only a single, narrow road. And if you could not stay on that road, there was no other path to follow, no elder to consult, no community negotiation to be had. There was only sin and shame. The new system demanded perfection. It demanded that people pretend not to feel what they felt. It demanded that the river stop flowing. It demanded that the river stop flowing. It was forced to go underground. It was forced to go underground. It was forced into the shadows, into the world of secrets that our ancestors had worked so hard to avoid. Once the language of shame took hold, silence followed. It fell like a heavy blanket over the courtyards. It fell like a heavy blanket over the homes. Where there was once open negotiation, there was now quiet denial. But how can you speak about something taught to be too shameful to even name? If a husband's eye wandered, the wife was now expected to be silent. To speak of it would bring shame upon her house. She was told to pray, be a better wife, suffer in silence. Her pain had no place to go. The community was no longer a container for her sorrow. It became a source of judgment she had to avoid. The men, too, were trapped by this silence. If a man had forbidden feelings, he could not speak of them. To do so would be to confess his own sinfulness, so he learned to carry his desires in secret. He learned to live a divided life. One life was for the public, for the church, for his wife, the life of a good, respectable man. The other life was hidden in the shadows, where his unspoken desires lived. And so, shame replaced responsibility. His primary goal was not responsibility. It was to not be caught. The silence did not get rid of desire. It simply removed accountability. It allowed the river to flood in the dark, where no one could see the damage being done. And so, we learned to pretend. We built our houses with 2 front doors. One door was for the world to see. It was polished and clean. This was the family we showed to the church, to the neighbors, and to the new authorities. But there was always another door. This door was hidden at the back of the house. Through this door went the secret self. This was the door that led to a double life. For the man, it might lead to another woman, another family, hidden away in a different part of town. For the woman, it might lead to a silent, lonely world of unspoken longings and quiet sorrows. Living this way is a heavy burden. It splits a person in 2. You become an actor in your own home. Trust, which is the foundation of any family, begins to crumble. The wife may not know for sure, but she feels the emptiness. The children feel the coldness, the tension in the air. This is the great cost of pretending. The acceptable systems, the ones that demand perfection, do not erase desire. They only create secret lives. You have families that look perfect on the outside, but are rotting from the inside with the poison of deceit. And then, one day, the house breaks. The weight of the secret life becomes too heavy. A child is born from the hidden relationship. The lie simply becomes impossible to maintain. And the family, which looked so strong from the outside, collapses. It shatters into 1,000 pieces. And the greatest tragedy of all is that no one has the language to explain why. The wife is left standing in the ruins of her home, her heart broken. When she tries to speak of her pain, she is met with empty words, but no one can help her name the deep betrayal. The children are the ones who are most lost. They see their home fall apart, their parents torn by a bitterness they cannot comprehend. They have no story to help them understand. They are simply left in the middle of the wreckage, taught only that love is fragile, that promises are easily broken, and that families can suddenly they are Siva we have families breaking apart without the language to explain why. We have allowed the river to be blocked, and now it is destroying us from within in silent, secret floods. We see the broken homes from within silent. We Richie, I only hear you. The abandoned juice, the abandoned it's a day to send out high mountain. She takes a young gun with your couch out that counting. Was and he says, want to shoot and tended. I can't get to us to us one. Get to the town the catch who does it so go him comes. So, Bill Davis, you as I've seen said, if he shows her as she's just to find